welcome, nice to see you all again. Right, finally, here are some of the things I like and I dislike about the Sinnis Terrain. Now, it was going to be a top 5, but to be quite honest, I don't think there are 5 that are significant. So what I'll do is I'll do a likes and dislikes of Fred here, my boy, and I'll tell you some of the reasons why I think that this bike is great, and some of the reasons why I think this bike could do with something more, shall we say. Right, first thing I like about it clearly is the price. £2.5 grand, brand new motorcycle on the road. Yeah, it's not the most powerful thing in the world, but if you're just looking for a commuter that's gonna do about 60-65 and get you to work there and back, there's no cheaper. But I mean, I get about 210 miles out of a full tank ish, which is great. So it's cheap to run, cheap to fucking insure. It's something like bloody £18 a month for me on this. But fuck is that? Anti-terrorism? That's anti-terrorist. Well, that was peculiar. Anyway, yeah, cheap to run, all that sort of shit. However, I have a big problem with some of the costs for a Sinnis Terrain. The service intervals on this thing are every 1200 miles. Now for me, because I do 120 miles ish a week, and that's not including fucking about and going various places to shops and what have you. So in 10 weeks I have to have a service, which at £99 to £150, depending on which service it is, that can work out quite expensive. What are you fucking doing, you cunt? Jesus. So that's one thing that Sinnis, in my opinion, have dropped the ball on. The service intervals on this are horrendous. Why they're so short, I don't know. I mean, you're looking at, BMW GS's have got a service interval of about 3,000 miles. This thing's 1,200. Is it because it's a Chinese motorcycle and they want to get you into garage as soon as possible, or is it because they're trying to make money up on servicing costs because the bike's so cheap? I don't know. Be interesting to find out. I'd love to know the rationale behind the thinking behind the service intervals. But that's likes and dislikes on the cost. Right, what else? Well, I think it looks great, this bike. I'm not a big fan of the back boxes, particularly the two side ones. You can get a few echoes in there if you cram them in. They're not massive boxes, they just make the bike look bigger than it is. The back box that comes with it, unless you get the large back box, you could probably get a sandwich box in and maybe a few tools just in case you break down beside it road, but that's about it. But I've took the front screen off. I've got my own aftermarket one put on. Took all the associated metalwork off the back of the panniers, left the front ones on because I think they're alright, and it saved a lot of weight, and I put my own back box on. And I think if you were 18, 19 year old and this were your first 125, I think you'd be made up with this. You'd be proper chuffed. It looks really nice, and I believe, moving on to another thing I don't like about it, really. Well, I do like it, but I don't. This thing could do with a couple of extra horsepower, and I do mean a couple of extra. Just take it up to that legal limit for a 125, and if they could, this thing would outsell most fucking 125s on market. Purely because it's a couple of grand cheaper. If this could do 70, it's a bit. Fucking hell, they're all happening. Yeah, what's happening? Has fucking Alan's snack bar opened? Something's happening. on earth's going on? World we live in, eh? And I've completely lost my train of thought. So yeah, give it a few extra horsepower. They must be able to somehow. This thing would be fucking great. And then I come to the negative side. It's about 5 miles an hour too slow. It's quite nippy at pulling away for a 125 and all that sort of stuff. But it could do with a bit more power. And that's another thing I like and sort of dislike about the Sinus Terrain. One of the other things that I really dislike about this bike, and maybe it's the way I ride or something like that, whatever, this thing absolutely is in its element when it's fucking chucking as much shit as it can all over itself. This bike, I mean, bearing in mind I washed it Monday, by the time I get home today, and this is first rain it's been in, and it's not even raining as such, it's just wet out ground, this thing will be minging up the inside and round the old back wheel and all that sort of stuff. It'll be absolutely filthy. So that's one thing it does like to do, and it is difficult to clean this, you know, like most adventure bikes are slightly difficult to clean because of all the nooks and crannies and all that sort of stuff. I mean, if you look down here, it's fucking starting to get filthy already. And it's more, strangely enough, on the left hand side. My left hand boot and my left hand trousers end up soaked and filthy a lot more than the right do, which is sort of weird really. Right, another thing, and probably the last thing that I'm going to say that I like and dislike, well, it's not really a like, the tyres that come with the Sinus Terrain originally are shocking. In the wet I had zero confidence in them because I've had a Sinus Terrain before, and it was like riding on glass when rain were about, and if the roads are a bit greasy you got no chance. So when I bought this bike, they give me a trade-in on my old one. They give me 600 quid for old one, and I said, well, instead of that, give me 400 quid for old one and stick us some Avon Road Rider tyres on, because I've got no fucking confidence in the tyres that come with it. And they did that, and these are brilliant. I really do like these tyres, very, very confidence inspiring. The chicken strips on them aren't that wide. You can lean this bike over a little bit with these tyres on, which is always nice. And it is just a good, honest, fun bike to ride. Chain's made out of Nicker elastic a bit, it needs tightening almost every other week, but you know, it's just your regular bike maintenance, and it's not really an issue if you know what you're doing, and any fucker can. There's a good video on YouTube from Sinus telling you how to adjust your chain on one of these things if you're a bit of a novice. Obviously if you're unsure, get some help, but a lot of motorcycle garages will only charge you 30 quid for sorting your chain out. Next time this thing goes in for one of its many services, I'm going to ask them to put a gold chain on, I think. One, because it's a fashion show on a motorbike, it always is. And two, I have no confidence in Chinese, well, like Chinese anything if I'm honest, but Chinese Nicker elastic chains on motorcycles. They're not great. But if you're looking to buy a cheap little commuter that don't look like a fucking sewing machine and goes okay, I don't think you can go far wrong with a Sinus Terrain, to be honest. It comes across as a lot bigger than it actually is, and I think, not so much me because I'm a bloke in my 50s, but if you're like 19, 20 and you've just done your CBT and you want a 125 and all the rest of it, and somebody presents you with this, you'll be grinning from ear to ear. It's a lovely little bike. The 380cc one is coming out soon, and I will be quite interested to see what that's like. I am taking my test in a few months' time, or maybe next year. I ain't quite decided, but when I do, you guys will obviously be the first to know. Thank you to all the new people that have subscribed. 20 people, that's me and the missus, and 18 other people are interested in what I've got to say. That's marvellous. Thank you so much, everyone, and I'll go and get some supplies, and I'll see you next time.